Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Christine Masharia, also known as Time. I am a trained nurse with a Bachelor of Science in Nursing and Public Health. And in this video, I want to bring together two things that shape my life: my faith and my medical background. So by the end of this video, you'll have had a medical glimpse of the suffering of Jesus Christ from the Garden of Gethsemane to the cross through a nurse's eyes. Let's get right to it. Now, before a single whip had even touched Jesus' body, his suffering had already begun in a garden called Gethsemane. The Bible records that Jesus was in such anguish that he sweat blood. Fun fact here: of the 4 Gospels that describe Jesus' suffering, this detail is in only one of them, the book of Luke, or the Gospel of Luke. And you might ask, why is this interesting? It's because Luke was a physician. He was Dr. Luke. So when he wrote that Jesus sweat blood, he wasn't just trying to be poetic or symbolic. He was stating a fact. This is a condition called hematidrosis. It's a rare but real medical condition. This happens when somebody is under extreme emotional or psychological stress that the body goes into a fight or flight mode. Now, stress hormones like cortisol, adrenaline, they surge and they drastically increase the blood pressure. When that happens, the tiny blood capillaries around sweat glands can rupture, and the result is blood oozing out of the sweat pores. Now, since Jesus' time, there have been more reported and documented cases of hematidrosis, especially for people facing traumatic events, like for soldiers before battle or prisoners on death row before execution. But let's come back to Jesus. So as he was praying in this garden, the weight of what it would actually cost him to redeem humanity was now dawning on him. So you can imagine the place he was in psychologically and emotionally. His body responded to all this through hematidrosis. From here, Jesus was arrested and handed over to be scourged. Now, Roman flogging, also known as scourging, wasn't your typical beating, the kind that you'd receive from your teacher or from your parents. The Roman kiboko was called a flagrum, a whip with multiple leather thongs, each embedded with pieces of bone, metal, or lead. This kind of trauma would have resulted in painful bruises from the blunt force of the metals, and also open lacerations from the bone pieces that would have sliced through the skin, probably all the way down to the muscle. The amount of blood loss from this would have been significant enough to have caused a condition known as hypovolemic shock. This is when the body loses so much blood that it struggles to keep the heart and other vital organs functioning. Hypovolemic shock, or just shock in general, because there are many types of shock, it doesn't just happen all at once. It happens in stages. Jesus didn't reach its final stage where the body completely shuts down. We know this because we see he was still conscious, he was still awake, he was still lucid. But one thing we do know for sure is that he was clearly weak. The Bible records that Jesus couldn't carry the cross the entire way. He had to be helped. We also see somewhere that Jesus stated that he was thirsty. Dehydration, fatigue, these are signs, early signs of hypovolemic shock. As if that whole beating wasn't enough, a crown of thorns was twisted together and pressed onto his head. The scalp is one of the most vascularized areas of the human body. This means that it has a very rich blood supply. So even the smallest cuts can cause bleeding. For Jesus, it wasn't a small cut. It was long, sharp thorns that pierced into his scalp. Now, apart from the bleeding, let's talk about the pain. Your head and face is innervated by a variety of nerves. The sharp thorns would have so much irritated these nerves that the pain Jesus had, it was real pain. It was excruciating pain. It was intense, burning pain. Let's head over now to the crucifixion itself. Jesus' hands and feet were nailed to the cross. From history, Roman nails were up to 18 centimeters long. Whatever the length of the iron nails, what this means from a medical perspective is iron nails were driven through some of the most sensitive parts of the body that are packed with nerves. The result? Intense, burning pain shooting through Jesus' arms and legs. Once the cross was lifted, his body hung by these same hands and feet. Here comes the hard part. Every breath on that cross came at a cost. Try this with me. Breathe in. Breathe out. See how simple that was? That wasn't the case for Jesus. The position of someone on a cross makes it easy for them to breathe in, but not so easy for them to breathe out. For Jesus to exhale, he had to push up on his pierced feet, his wounded back rubbing against the cross, pulling against his pierced hands just to let air out. I don't know whether you're getting the picture. He had to pull up on his pierced feet, his wounded back rubbing against the cross. His hands, he had to still pull up against his pierced hands just to let out air. He didn't just hang there. He fought for every breath on that cross until his death. It's been widely debated by Bible scholars, medical experts, and historians about what exactly caused Jesus' death. Was it hypovolemic shock due to blood loss, or asphyxiation due to suffocation on the cross, or perhaps what we now call broken heart syndrome, also known as Takotsubo cardiomyopathy? It's where the heart muscle weakens suddenly due to extreme physical or emotional stress. Personally, I lean towards this possibility because it's the one that comes close to showing how the weight of the sorrow of being separated from God the Father could have manifested physically. So it's not trying to reduce the mystery of the death of Jesus to a medical label, not at all, but to just give an understanding. The sorrow of separation I'm talking about here is when Jesus cried out in a loud voice, my God, why have you forsaken me?" This was when God turned his back on Jesus because he now had all the sins of humanity on him. But that's a story for another day. I am confident that understanding the science behind the suffering has given you a new perspective to the sacrifice of Jesus. But as well, only your faith can really help you grasp the depth of it. All in all, I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, peace.